Hi, I'm Kennedy. My family and I are huge fans of Cobra Kai, and congratulations on all the success of the show.
Thank you.
Can you tell me the biggest difference between how you thought the show would end when you first started this series and how the finished product we have all seen now?
I mean, I would say, we knew a lot about what was going to happen in the end with Johnny and Daniel, but we didn't know so much about all the other characters. We didn't know how many characters we would add to the show, how many fighters there would be. We didn't know about the Seikai Taikai and exactly what that would be, and Sensei Wolf. So there was so much that we didn't know. It was really what we did know was the Johnny and Daniel story.
That's amazing. I love how in the end you really wrap up everyone's characters. Was there a specific character that was the toughest to see to the finish line?
Well, for me, I'm a huge fan of the character Terry Silver, even though he's the bad guy in it. I like his character, and we knew that we were going to end things with a big explosion and his character going away. And it was tough to actually do that and see him explode on the boat, but that's what had to happen to have the good story ending.
Well, it was a great ending. What scene do you recall being the toughest to film throughout all 6 seasons?
Wow, I mean, there are some real tough ones. The boat one was not easy. That was certainly one of the tougher ones. There were some scenes that were tough to shoot because you're asking an actor to cry or to get very emotional, and you might be shooting that scene for 4 hours, and you don't want them to, not be able to cry when the camera's all the way up here on their face. So sometimes those can be emotionally taxing days. And then there are other difficult days where you have a giant school fight to shoot, like at the end of season 2, where you just have too much to shoot and not enough time and not enough cameras and not enough microphones. So there's so many to choose from, but every day, you get to go to work with your 2 best friends and you figure it out. And it's hard to put one scene on that.
That's so great, and you guys did amazing. So, are you planning any spin-off series?
We are planning some spin-off series, but we can't talk about anything right now because we haven't figured out exactly what is going to get made yet. So we don't like to make a big announcement and then you find out it's not happening. So we have to make sure that it's the right situation and the studio's on board and we have the actors on board. But rest assured, we are talking about different types of spin-offs to keep this character and this world going.
That's so great. What were you looking forward to the most making this series, and what has been the most fulfilling?
We got to meet all of our favorite people from The Karate Kid. We saw this movie when we were 6 years old, and we loved it, and we put the poster of the movie up in our bedrooms, and we watched it on VHS, which you've never heard of, and we watched it on DVD, which you've never heard of, and we watched it on streaming, which I think you've heard of. And at some point, we grew up and became screenwriters and said, what if we were able to write another story in that universe of our favorite movie? And getting to meet all of the actors, the writer of that movie, everybody who was connected to that movie we now know was just so rewarding.
Wow, that's so cool. I am 10 years old. What would you tell your 10-year-old self today? What would you like him to know?
I would tell my 10-year-old self to, if you have a dream, go for it. This was something that we never could have imagined that we'd be doing in our adult lives, but we fell in love with movies and we decided to go for it. We put in the work. That's the other thing I would say. It's don't just assume that that good things are going to happen. Good things are going to happen to you. You have to put in hard work and have a lot of focus, and anything can happen.
That's amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you.